Hello, I hope you guys are all having a good one. And today's video I'm going to be covering how to make some procedural potatoes. I primarily work with like the games industry, so this is going to be mostly game. I've actually implemented this into our game, the current game that I'm working on. So there's a little bit of an insider into some more procedural geometry that you can create within IlluGen. However, we're utilizing a couple different things. So procedural textures that you can go and export as a tileable texture, as well as geometry and how you can kind of, once again, combine them all. However, if you want to just do straight up renders and stuff like that, you can always bump up the subdivisions and get some real nice results here. As you can see, we've got a lot of different variants of potatoes that we can end up getting. Really simple, real easy. Yeah, once again, love IlluGen, lots that you can do with it. So yeah, let's get into it. So unlike what I did for my grass, if you guys ever watch how I created my grass, I'm actually going to do it reverse, and I'm going to create the potato mesh itself prior to creating the textures. This is just because we're going to be using the textures and overlaying them onto the potato. And we sort of want the mesh there to dictate sort of how we want it all to look in the end result, which is one of the pros that you have when using IlluGen, where most things such as Substance Designer, you're kind of creating your texture, and you can utilize a cube, a sphere, a cylinder, these sorts of things to portray your tileable texture. And you can technically import a model into Designer, but that starts getting a little bit complicated. And not too many people end up doing it. But this is one of the pros that we do have when utilizing IlluGen, and we might as well make use of it. So first we're going to start off with a geo shape. And from here, I'm just going to quickly shove a geo noise right into it, because I know that this is what I'm going to be needing. We can go plug that all in. Going back into here, we can go plane, and let's go spherized cube. Awesome. Now, as I mostly work game dev sort of stuff, I try to keep myself relatively optimized, and potatoes are not particularly going to be something that's like super right in the face. So I'm going to set mine to be the radius of 4, just to keep it optimized and run well, which is nice. However, alternatively, you can go and shove this up if you want a super high quality potato. Just, denoting what you're going to be utilizing it all for. Next, we're going to be using a geo noise, and we're just going to run up a couple of values here. So we're going to increase the displacement to make sure that we are, utilizing quite a lot of it. Also from there, we're going to adjust some of the values here. So the scale we can probably reduce down to a 40, 50 or 40, whatever one you think looks the best there. Now, one thing I want to note is, potatoes, they don't, like, if we go, I'm going to quickly grab a reference. Listen, if we go and look at some potatoes here, now, often they don't have a crazy amount of displacement, and noise. So I do like to go a little bit more than less to just add some visual interest. However, looking at these potatoes, you can kind of adjust them. However, if you want to do similar to what I have and showed before, and you want a little bit more displacement, that's fine. You can also do less. Like, this is all up to you as well. I just thought that would be quite important. But yeah, so going, and we might as well, while we're here, click that for the seed. We'll also increase this soft edge here. That's just going to soften the edges. Next up, what we're going to do is, let's give a couple tests here. This is sort of what we're working with here. But we're not seeing too much going on, so I might go and adjust some of these displacement values. So if I lower some of these, you can kind of get different results, as you can see. You can also get slightly different results by adjusting the position and like the rotation as well, which can be quite cool as well. What else do we want to do? One thing I did forget to do is changing the scale. I mean, for one, it is quite large by default, so we're definitely going to want to change the scale. But also, to note, by changing the scale or the radius, whichever one you want to do, right, it also changes how the noise affects the mesh itself. So the smaller it is, the more the noise is going to ultimately impact how the look of your mesh ends up being. So we can go and adjust some of these values to get whatever we want. I will say for one thing, I'm not going to worry too much, and personally, I wouldn't worry too much about the, you know, is this facing upwards, these sorts of things. When I was working with my game for these, what I'd end up doing is I just go export it over to Maya or Blender, adjust the pivots, adjust everything, just to get it right and set it flat, because the noise will apply kind of universally anyway. So I think if you're going to do some randomization stuff, you're never going to get them every single time when using procedural stuff to be facing perfectly upwards. But as you can see here, by adjusting these, some of these look a little bit more crazy than others. We can go and increase the scale a little bit too, or decreasing the scale of the noise itself, and then you can start seeing some really cool results here. So let's go to get one that I kind of like. Let's keep going. It's going about and finding one that you think looks kind of good. I might, for the sake of this demo, actually, yeah, I kind of like this one. Increase the subdivs a little bit more. This one's kind of cool. We could once again, like I said, adjust the scale a little bit and how the scale is affecting it as well. That's not too bad. And yeah, I mean, from here, if you just are happy with this result here, you can always go and export the model with that. But from here, we're probably going to go and get started onto the texturing stage. So from here, we can go use a color uniform, and we'll go run a blend. Make sure I spell it right. And then we can use, we'll use a color ramp for this one, honestly. So, yeah, this is fine. I mean, there's different ways that you can go about it. I'm just going to color pick something that I have off the side. So this is going to be our base color here. Now, you could argue the case of just using a color ramp and color ramping this as well. I find it's not too necessary, but once again, you're not losing anything by doing that. So it could be worth doing. You just do the same process as I'm going to do with this color ramp here, which is just going to be shoving a noise. And for this noise, we're just going to adjust some values, but we want to make it kind of relatively low key. So let's first visualize, and this is kind of what we're working with. Now, to visualize, what I'm going to do is increase the ambient itself. And don't worry too much, because obviously this is a little bit wrong anyway. So just overlay there. And you're just going to start seeing a little bit of a nicer result. We can muck around with that actually in a bit. But from here, let's go grab a dirt. I'm just going to go bring up a dirt. So feel free to grab this from my screen, but oops, I guess not. You guys can grab that. I can't. Awesome. Oh, well, I've just gone and done that, but hopefully you guys could pause that and get a reference for yourself. But from here, we can go and adjust some of these hues and saturations and whatnot to whatever we want. But yeah, mucking around with this noise, there's a couple of things we may want to go and adjust. So for one, I want to reduce the scale. I'm just going to visualize this actually from here. So scale to maybe around 10-ish. Decrease the intensity as well is going to be quite important. You could probably, adjusting the octaves probably isn't too important. Mucking around with maybe the roughness, because this is going to provide a bit more detail and depth to it all. That's probably pretty fine for the noise. I might adjust the map itself just to do a little bit less. I'm just gonna shove that in there. I'm gonna start seeing a little bit of this here. So from here we can go and increase that a little bit and start seeing a little bit of a nice sort of look here. So you can go and adjust some of these here till we think it'll matches with what you're trying to achieve. We got some different results. That's like our first overlay of stuff. I might once again just adjust the, there we go, the mesh, just something a little bit easier to read. So this is our first look. Next up, what we're going to be doing is adding some little spots to the texture itself. So let's just go bring this up. You can also probably run this at 2048 as well if we want some more resolution. I mean, it kind of depends on what you're trying to go for. So maybe these. Awesome. So from here, what I'm going to do is we'll add another blend. We'll go run a fractal. And just for this, for visualization's sake, I'm just going to use a color uniform just so I can pretty easily visualize it. And with this, there's a couple of things I'm probably going to want to do. Let me see. So for one, let's reduce the scale by a heap. We want a lot of small things here. The inner filling will bring up a bit. We'll decrease the layer count, and we can probably leave most of these where they are. Maybe increase the roughness a little bit to just give a little bit more detail. From here, we can go and what do we want to do? Let's go to the rotation. You can probably adjust the rotation for some of these. We'll start seeing some of this come up a little bit in a minute. Leave these all default. There's the position, randomization. You might as well shove that up a bit. Nothing you lose from that. Intensity range. We'll go and adjust that. And then last but not least, the overall visibility chance. Decreasing this heavily is going to provide you different results. So this is sort of an example of what we currently have. You can go and probably muck around with some of these as well to break up some of the shapes. I mean, you can start seeing now we're getting some of these. So just to visualize it on the mesh, when we actually go plug it in, you can start seeing it there. So I'm going to, of course, go and reduce the visibility chance to a 0.3, I think, or you can go even less than that, maybe like a 0.2. That's when you can start getting some cool results there. From here, then it can also be quite cool is going a UV noise. Might as well make use of these as well. This is going to break up some of the shapes, so you can adjust the noise to however much, and that's also just going to break up the these existing little dots. And from here, I'm just going to remove that, and we'll switch over to a color ramp. And we can go and grab some sort of dirt. Color pick some dirt if you have some more dirt. Just you can probably go back to the other dirt, or just utilize the same dirt, copy and paste that one if that's something that you're interested in. From here, we're going to use an overlay. Just going to overlay that, and we can go and adjust some of these, maybe decrease that. And you've got a pretty, honestly, good looking, just trying to look at that, pretty nice looking spots on our potato. Just adds it quite a nice look to it all. And next up, we're going to be moving on to some like more further dirt patterns. So I'm just going to go and bring this up because there's quite a lot of nodes that we're going to be utilizing here. Yeah. Awesome. So you can probably guess what we're going to be doing next, adding another blend. And then we can go run we'll use a Let me see. We use a fractal for this one. And we'll run this through a color ramp. And actually for this, I'll go run it into weight as well. So for this fractal, there's a lot of changes that are going to be made here. I think we'll use I think it's the high frequencies is a pretty good one, because what I'm trying to do is some more like round circular kind of details here. So we'll go utilize this. We'll set the scale to be lower, maybe around a 60, 70. What next? We'll go and set the maybe the blending ramp up a little bit so you can see that adjusting this. So we'll set this maybe 70-ish. Rotation range, we can go and run up because we're going to be adjusting some of these. Next, the scale range. We're going to be bring this one actually down because we don't want too crazy of details here. We're just going for some hyper-specific stuff. Decreasing the randomizer. Actually, I don't think we need to decrease it, honestly. I think it's fine. The intensity range, and then the overall chance for it to pop up maybe a 36. So this is kind of what we're working with here. Which is nice and good. From here, we're going to go run a curve. The curve's just going to allow us to adjust the... We'll probably run this into both of these instead. The curve's just going to allow us to adjust exactly what we're after here. So running in auto range, I think, and then increasing this to there. You're going to start seeing a little bit closer to what we are trying to hit. For this, I'm just going to go grab something that I have existing, but once again, you can utilize the same dirt or a different dirt, whichever one fits what you're trying to hit. But as you can see there, we've got that going. Let me see. Now, I'm going to make some adjustments, however. So first and foremost, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to set it to overlay. And we're going to reduce the overlay, and that's going to give you this result here. So once we input it into the albedo, you're going to start seeing these details. So what you can sort of see is we've just gone and added these here, these little dots. Now, I'm going to be honest, I do feel like they're a little small, so I can go and adjust the scale itself. I am going to just note that you do run into a... you might run into an issue with the UVs and how, you UV a spherized cube. So, do be warned of that. For my cases, I ended up just re-UVing it because it's for a game. So I can just go shove it under there, or you can approach the UVs in different approaches there. But you can sort of see what we're working with here. I'm pretty happy with it. However, you can, of course, make your own adjustments there. Sort of see what we're achieving with some of these results. So if you want to increase the scales kind of like that, you can also go and do that. Pretty much the last thing texturing wise, we might make some adjustments after, just depending on how it all looks. But we'll go run another blend, and this is going to be sort of like a greeny dirt. I'm not too sure how I'd go about explaining this one, honestly. It's a bit of a... I just thought this one looks cool, to be honest. That's my best explanation there. Running a color uniform. It's not too bothered for this one. We're going to be utilizing another fractal here. It's going to give us the result that we're after. Awesome. So just looking into this fractal, what we're going to be doing is setting the scale to around 150. We don't want crazy big details here. I will set, so shift click the seed is going to allow us to randomize that. From here, we're going to reduce the layer scale per iteration to around a 30. Something around there is fine. It doesn't need to be too exact, and maybe slightly bring up the roughness. From here, what we're going to be doing is reducing the scale from the bottom there, so you can sort of see it's going to bring this around the middle. From there, what we're going to be doing is increasing the intensity range, so it's just going to bring lower lows and higher highs. And then lastly, reducing the overall visibility chance around a 60. So you can sort of see it taking shape there. And from here, we can set this to be a green, something like dull dark. I think this one's going to be a multiply. A multiply is going to work pretty well there. You can start seeing that over there. If I run this here, you can see we've got it over there. I think I'm just going to adjust the color itself to make it a bit more prominent. You can sort of see how we're going with that green there. So this is kind of not the biggest fan of that massive seam there. You can start seeing some of these details really overlaying themselves. I might quickly go and adjust this here and sort of get some slightly different results. I sort of want to see what we're kind of working with. There's like our secondary detail. Oh, that's pretty good, honestly. I feel like I'm pretty happy with all that. And, well, pretty much the last thing I really want to be covering here is doing the normals. For the majority of the normals, I just want to be focusing, adding some of this dirt. Because often this dirt builds in crevasses, so you can get some kind of pretty cool results there. However, I will note that potatoes don't tend to have a crazy amount of stuff. I might actually implement this. In my example before, I didn't have that implemented either, but maybe that could be worth doing. Maybe I run a blend here. And we can maybe run this into the foreground, this into the background. Have it there. But with this levels, I'm just going to be bringing everything a heap down. So something pretty low. I'll go double check that afterwards. Run another blend though, real quick, just to finish off what we're going to be doing for this. And in this, I'm going to set this to be the foreground, and then this, we're going to be using a noise detail here. I believe this noise is honestly fine pretty much by default, honestly. So we can go run that, and we'll go grab this normal. We'll go normal create. It's going to create normals based off of this. Now, one thing I just noticed is I need to invert this. So maybe I just use a curve, flip that. And then this can go into here. Awesome. Now let's go find a result real quick. So a good result for this would probably be a multiply, honestly, because you want to multiply, and we're going to be reducing a lot of that. I'll double check in a minute once we go over here to see how it all looks, but I think most of this should all be, honestly, pretty perfect. From here, we do want to reduce this, however. I have to see, actually, how that all looks. We've got this normal here. You can sort of see the normals, just adding a bit. So I ended up going and adding some little dots for these marks that we added over here. These little dots. I don't know. I feel like that sort of makes sense because that would also be sort of groovy. But yeah, we've got the normal here. Pretty crazy by default. So there's quite a lot that we can honestly go about here. From here, I'm probably going to run this as a multiply and reduce the multiply. So the multiply is how much, I mean, among other things, it's going to be adjusting the overall stuff. But we can go and increase the intensity, I think. Something like that. It's honestly not too bad. I don't know if there's a crazy thing to do, but I might reduce the resolution. I just don't feel like we need a crazy amount of resolution, but you can go and adjust that how you see fit. You can sort of start seeing some of those results there. But yeah, this is kind of the end result of creating a cool looking potato. I might decrease that normal intensities a little bit more, but honestly, not half bad. And the crazy good thing about this is you can go and randomize it as many times as you want. So that one's not great, but you start getting some really cool results here, like this potato. I mean, that's completely serviceable. Perfect. That's fine. Got a heap of these awesome looking potatoes, all randomized. And they, honestly, like, this is so much quicker than going and texturing and making potatoes manually. I mean, from here, we've got a pretty great reusable thing. And bear in mind that this setup can be used for a heap of different things. Like, you could probably create a rock texture from this setup as well. And you can do a lot of things. Like, if I really wanted to go and take this into something crazy, I'd probably run like a geopoint shape. Run some like randomizer. Then go like, oops. Let's go like, you can probably go, maybe geo copy to points. Run that as points. Run that as geo. Let me see. I reduce the scale of these. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's too many of the same thing, so it's not going to look great, unfortunately. But you can start going if you really want to. It's a little weird the way that they're set up, but something like that. We just got a bunch of potatoes on the ground and stuff. Kind of funny. You can get some pretty crazy stuff going here. About like a cube. We're in a cube with like a random. Oops. We got like a potato, a cube of potatoes. It's kind of funny. I don't know. There's a lot that we can kind of muck around with and do. You know, just it's good to be pretty explorative with your ideas and opportunities. But yeah, hopefully that this was helpful. And you know, I don't know if you guys are really coming in here going, I can't wait to make a potato. But the one really cool thing is we've gone and created something that's fully procedural and honestly a really cool model. And with this information, I mean, like I mentioned, you can go and create rocks, obviously potatoes, and a lot of other, you know, models and objects that could be kind of weird to model each individual one. You can go and produce this en masse, really. So, pretty helpful. Hopefully, this was informative and you learned something. And yeah, catch you next time. Bye-bye.